The avoidant is accustomed to being wanted. They are familiar with desire, pursuit, and the intoxicating feeling of being lusted after. These expressions of interest are easy for them to process because they do not require reciprocation. Someone can want them intensely while they remain emotionally detached, maintaining the power dynamic that keeps them safe. But silence is different. Silence is not an emotion the avoidant can dismiss or devalue. It is the absence of their impact, the erasure of their significance, the terrifying possibility that they no longer occupy space in your thoughts. Your silence hits harder than any expression of lust ever could because it suggests something the avoidant's ego cannot tolerate, that you have moved on, that their presence or absence no longer affects you, that they have become irrelevant, the void, where validation used to exist. Lust provides the avoidant with constant validation. When someone desires them, pursues them, expresses need for them, it confirms their worth and desirability. This validation is oxygen for the avoidant's fragile ego. It allows them to feel wanted without having to be vulnerable, significant without having to commit, important without having to show up. But silence removes this validation completely. There is no pursuit to confirm their desirability. There is no longing to prove they are missed. There is nothing, just the vast emptiness of your disengagement, the haunting possibility that you are genuinely fine without them. This void is excruciating because the avoidant has no way to fill it without breaking their own code of emotional distance. They cannot reach out without admitting they care about your opinion. They cannot demand your attention without revealing that your silence bothers them. So they sit with the absence of validation, and it consumes them in ways active desire never did. The loss of control through indifference. When someone lusts after the avoidant maintains control. They can choose when to engage, when to withdraw, when to offer breadcrumbs of attention. The dynamic revolves around their availability, their mood, their willingness to participate. But silence flips the script entirely. Your silence means you are no longer participating in the dynamic they controlled. You are not reacting to their withdrawal. You are not chasing their attention. You are not available for them to manage. This loss of control is deeply destabilizing. The avoidant discovers that their usual tactics, creating distance to increase desire, being unavailable to intensify pursuit, do not work when met with genuine indifference. Your silence communicates that you have exited the game entirely, and the avoidant is left playing alone. This realization is more threatening than any expression of need because it reveals that their power was never inherent. It was only ever granted by someone willing to participate in the pursuit, and you have revoked that permission. The mirror of their own emotional unavailability. Your silence forces the avoidant to experience what they have been inflicting on others for years. They have spent their relational life being emotionally unavailable, distant, withholding. They rationalized this behavior as necessary self-protection, as boundary setting, as simply needing space. But when they encounter your silence, when they are on the receiving end of someone being completely unreachable and unaffected, they finally understand how it feels. The confusion of not knowing where they stand, the anxiety of wondering if they still matter, the desperation of wanting acknowledgement but receiving none. This mirror is brutal because it destroys the narrative that their distance is just healthy independence. They realize that what they called boundaries, felt like abandonment to others, that their need for space created pain they never had to witness because they were always the one leaving. Your silence is the first time they cannot escape the consequences of emotional unavailability, and the experience is shattering. The activation of their core abandonment wound. Lust confirms that the avoidant is wanted, which soothes their attachment wound. But silence confirms their deepest fear, that they are disposable, that people will eventually stop caring, that they are not worth the effort of pursuit. This fear is the foundation of their avoidant attachment. They learned early that they could not count on people to stay, that their needs would not be met, that they were fundamentally alone. Your silence activates this wound with precision. It proves, in their distorted perception, that they were right all along, that people give up, that they are not enough to keep someone interested, that their worst fear about themselves is true. This activation is far more destabilizing than lust, because lust provides temporary ego gratification, while silence strikes at the core of their identity. The avoidant can dismiss someone's desire as shallow or misguided, but they cannot dismiss silence. Silence just is. And in that silence, they are forced to confront the possibility that they have become to you what they feared they always were. Someone not worth remembering, someone easy to forget, someone whose absence creates no void because their presence never really mattered.